सरस्वते नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम. So, Namaste, Suresh ji and Mehika ji. We are going to continue with what is the chapter on the Deva and the Asura traits, divine and demonic natures. 16th Adhyay. Can someone recollect what is it that we saw last? Anything? Can recollect? You could go ahead. Yes, please. Any point. Yes, sir. Yes. Suresh ji, would you like to recollect? Yes, Suresh ji, anything you would like to recollect?
Yeah, yesterday we concluded the 14th, 15th chapter, Vidya. We briefly looked at what is Prana Pratisthana. That also we learned little bit
Yes.
with the example. And what is awakening by becoming conscious. All of us can awaken ourselves, something like that.
Yeah.
And to have aspirations. Then we moved on to 16th chapter.
Ji, sir.
That is on the divine and Devi gunas. We started learning out about the qualities first of Devi gunas.
Yes, sir.
I think there are 26 Devi gunas, something like. I
Yeah.
understand. I did some research and I
Ji, sir.
read somewhere, and we
Ji.
touched upon some of the things,
Yes, sir.
few things like fearlessness
Mhm.
and striving for purification
Yes.
and spirit of sacrifice, ahimsa,
Yes.
yoga, sadhana,
Yeah. Daya, the compassion
daya,
for the world, Teja, Shama, Druti, Shaucham, Atroho, Dharma.
modesty,
Yes, tenderness, sensitivity.
uh, sensitivity, sensitivity.
Yes,
Those
sir.
are the things. With the example, we learnt all those things. How to develop those things in ourselves.
Yes, sir.
There is no pain without gain, something like divide of anger, divide of greed and
Mm-hmm.
free from how to get free from anger.
Anger. Yes, sir.
We dealt with those things in details with examples,
Yes, sir.
and not to find fault in others.
Mm.
Absence of
Yes.
finding fault in others.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's very difficult, isn't it, sir? But that is
Ah,
also, we have the tendency to immediately find faults. Instead, understand the spirit of
then
we can actually
yeah, then
overcome
we
that.
moved to the opposite of this.
The Devi Swabhava. And then the
Ah,
Asuri Swabhava.
asura nature,
Yes, sir.
gunas, that is tejas and tamas
Hmm.
gunas.
Yes. Tamoguna, Ahankar,
mm,
Dambho, Darpo, Vimanascha,
Krodha,
Krodha.
deception.
Yeah.
How to liberate from all this?
Yes, yes. Yes, sir. I think that was a beautiful summary, sir. Yes. So
Yeah,
one side we looked at what are the divine traits. Other side,
yeah,
what are the asuri swabhava? Divine traits liberate us, make us free in our life. Asuri swabhava or the demonic traits trap us into moha, karma bandhana, action, reaction, cycles. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You are unfortunate. I'm just muted you by mistake. Please unmute, sir. You were saying something?
even if we don't have the Devi gunas, we should not have these Asura gunas. We should be careful in understanding this, and we should remove this Asura gunas. It will go. It will be good for us.
Absolutely, sir. So this aspect of cultivating gunas is also an important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, sir. So let us continue then. All right. Thank you. Hari Om. So now this was very interesting that Krishna is saying that these two gunas are there. Some people are born with what is a divine nature. Some are born with what we call the asuri nature. Arjuna is a little bit worried because was I arrogant? Was the feeling Arjuna had in his heart? I think all sincere people only have such questions, isn't it? Immediately Krishna says, no, Arjuna, don't worry, but I want you to know what is the Asuri nature also. And so he begins. Let us continue with what is the sixth shloka of the 16th adhyaya. Krishna says, Dvau bhuta, Dvau bhuta sargau lokesmin, Daiva asura eva cha, Daivo vistarashah prokta, Asuram partha me shrinu. O Arjuna, all living creatures belong to one of these two natures. The divine, I have just surmised and extolled. The demonic, I will now state for you to behold. So Krishna says, I've already told you what is the divine nature. Now I am going to share what is the Asuri Swabhava, is what he is saying. We also saw why sometimes it is very essential to know what is wrong, to be conscious of the other nature also. You cannot be oblivious, isn't it? Otherwise, you will live in your own la la land. You don't know what's happening. You have to be conscious and you have to protect your consciousness also. Sometimes in places where your consciousness is likely to easily get scattered, whatever you have gathered with so much efforts. So how do you deal? How do you exist? How do you coexist? Because again, Krishna has always told us that we're not running away from battles. We are embracing challenges in life. How do we do that when we are surrounded? Because imagine a person having idealistic thoughts, another person who is absolute opposite, a selfless person and a selfish person. Can they ever come together? Yes, if the divine wishes it, that can also happen. We don't have to worry about that. But how do we deal? How do we deal with it without losing our traits? That is important. Sri Aurobindo had so beautifully said, Asurasya Udyamam Shakti Dehi. Give me the strength and might of the Asura and the gunas of the Deva. Why not? Why not? Why not use it for the greater work, for the higher work? If you want to be a titan, be like Prahlada. Why do we have to let our ahankar take control of us? We can still cultivate divine qualities inside of us. So that is something we'll have to see. Let us see. Krishna begins, 7th shloka onwards, the entire summary of what is the undivine trait. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha janana vidurasuraha. Na shaucham na pichacharo na satyam teshu vidyate. The demonic beings are ignorant of the right action, devoid of knowledge, unaware of the path of abstention. There exists no truth in these beings, nor is faithfulness observed in their dealings. So Krishna says, see this Asuri Swabhava are ignorant of what is right action and wrong action. They don't know. They don't know what is right, what is wrong. The very aspect is not inside of them. Viveka is not functioning at all. Then devoid of knowledge. So because they don't have the knowledge, they do not understand the meaning of abstention, the meaning of sacrifice, the meaning of selflessness. You tell a selfish person something of some selfless virtue or something about selflessness, the person will call you a fool. He'll say, what is this? Remember, you have to be selfish in your life. This is the advice a lot of people give. All these people do not want others to be selfish, isn't it? I mean, can you be happy if everybody lives in their own bubbles and say, I don't care about the other? But problem is everybody wants to live in their own selfish bubbles and they want appreciation for their selfish bubbles from another person, not from themselves. They're not trupta. So this is unnecessary swabhava inside of people. I am like this and I want reaffirmation from another person. But a selfless person is having what we call vairagya. The person is free from all expectations, living the life irrespective of the outer expectations from people. There exists no truth in any of these dealings. This is one more dangerous aspect in the Asuri Sabhava. There is no truth in the dealings of a person. There is no truth in any of these beings, nor is faithfulness observed in their dealings, meaning they are not faithful also, and there's no truth in their dialogues. My question is, can you trust a person who is untruthful? Can you go ahead, make deals? It's like making a deal with the devil, isn't it? Why? Why should you make deals? We will not. I think even has anybody heard of this phrase honor among thieves? Has anyone heard of this? There's honor among thieves also. Means even thieves they're doing wrong, but at least there is they are faithful to their dharma, chaurya dharma, what they are doing. What that aspect is everywhere. You see, faithfulness, you go and purchase a document. What is the first, when you purchase a land, what do you see first before making the deal? You read the documents, that's true. You see all the previous encumbrance, you get all the other legal aspects, get a legal opinion, all of it. But before that, is this person trustworthy? Haven't we all seen that first? Is this person trustworthy? We try to get references for the particular builder or person because we know documents can be forged, isn't it? First and foremost, property is good before purchasing it. We ensure is this person trustworthy? What is the previous experience? How has this person been? Because this is important. And if you just you say among your friends also, if somebody is lying to you, you've caught that person once. Can you trust that person again? No, because there was no reason to lie. Could have been very easily a person could have told. But when a person is lying without reason, I don't think you need to keep going on to that wrong path of trusting another person again and again. Remember, Asari Swabhava, there is falsehood. You can identify. There are indications of falsehood in little things also. If you are conscious of it, you can protect yourself. Remember not to enter in deals only. That's what Krishna is saying. But why are they doing this? This is the question we feel. Well, the simple answer is also there in this sloka because they're ignorant of the truth. They don't know what is the meaning of selflessness. They've never experienced that joy, that ananda that comes from giving selflessly. And they do not know what is the right path also. Unfortunate is that existence where a person does not know what is the right thing to do. When something wrong happens in front of you, somebody insults a very close friend. What will you have? Do you need to look at a SOP? Do you need to study SOP of how to react? Or you're able to immediately, this is wrong. I will not tolerate this. Don't you talk this way about this person. That is the natural reaction. But somebody who does not know means that person is not somewhere clear on the inside. So you must be on your guard at least. Krishna is not asking you to discard anybody in life. Because we say Vasudevam Sarvamiti, Krishna is everywhere. He's there in the Pandavas, he's there in the Kauravas. But while dealing, remember, be on guard. Next, Krishna goes, but and one advisory would be not to deal with such person who are not truthful. Means say go for a like no need to enter into agreements or any covenant with such a person. No, not required at all. When there's falsehood, it will manifest. It will manifest everywhere. One place falsehood will manifest in another dimension also. So you have to become conscious of the truth. Next, Krishna goes on. It doesn't stop there, just falsehood. The Asuri Swabhava reveals in that, when that falsehood grows the nature of the Asuri nature inside of that person. Unless, of course, there is an intervention of divine, intervention of the Guru, intervention of what we can call the Aradhya. Until then, the path is always a negative path. Asatyam apratishtham te jagadahur अपरस्पर संभृतम किमन्यत् कामहेतुकम. There is no God, they jubilantly proclaim. So this is also one more aspect of the Asuri Swabhava. It's not saying blanket like calling all atheists as bad people. No, that's not what Gita is doing. But it's just talking about one factor. Okay, God is not there is fine. Somebody's experience. A lot of great yogis also had this same question about existence of God. Swami Vivekananda also. It is like a starting. The seeker's questions begin. No, is there God? Swami Vivekananda had asked, "Agar tum ho, to ye kyun hai? If you are there, why? Why are my brethren suffering? Why are there famines in my Bengal, which is so divine? Ma Bhavani, what is happening here? Oh Goddess Durga, please tell me. Are you there? Is it? Is this existence, divine existence there?" So these are all questions you have fine. But you know what happens when the atheist stops asking questions? The seeking also stops, isn't it? You have stopped, you have already. And then there is and they're taking a Asurya Ananda in declaring the absence of God. So that is the problem. That is where we call the fall begins. It's like a ladder of the fall, one step, one by one. It starts from here. There is no God, they jubilantly proclaim. What will such a person do? He'll mock everybody who believes God, isn't it? And that will be the source of laughter and ananda for that person. We will not call it ananda. It will be a distortion. It will be a distortion of ananda, but that will make that person feel happy for a moment, a momentary happiness in ridiculing another person. So there is no God, they jubilantly proclaim. Then what? There is no truth in this world. So they claim. So if there is no higher Satya Brahmans, where whatever Brahma Satya, there is no Brahma. Where is the Satya in this Vishwa itself? Brahma api mithya, Jagad api mithya, according to such a person. This world is also just a fluke, a chance, just interactions of existence, different matters, existences without purpose, without direction. That is the approach. But I think every scientist who is very curious can identify a beautiful pattern, a pattern of an intelligent design in the creation, how so many things are falling in place. How is it? It's actually just looking at our human body itself, we realize the universe. Is man in the cosmos or is the cosmos inside of man? It looks crazy. But this is not the direction of thoughts in Asuri nature. It begins with ridiculing the existence of God, then dismissing the truth in this world. The origins of the world they dismiss as mere chance. Only desire is its sole foundation. Thus is their stance. So what is the foundation then? It is only desire. There's no God, there's no higher purpose, there's no higher truth, nothing. I exist because of my desires. I have to satisfy my desires and cravings. That is my only purpose because today I am, tomorrow I'll disappear. Only my desires stand forever. Or they will only mean to me when I'm alive. Afterwards, anyway, there's no meaning. That is the approach. An interpretation of what we can say Charvaka's philosophy, slightly different interpretation we can call it, because Charvaka also had a interesting spiritual philosophy in it also, but that gets distorted. Like many of my friends, YOLO, they say you live only once, so I have 50 years of life only. I mean, why deny 50% of your life and consider life gets over at 50? Before that, I want to party, I want to drink. One a particular friend of mine drank so much that he started coughing blood, drank smoke, everything. And then he started calling out God's name. I don't think we need to go that path, isn't it? And then everywhere, right? This happened in college. The same person in final year, he started calling. He was, of course, from another dharma. So he tried to convert everybody into that dharma after that. That was also a little funny. He started growing his beard and he said, "This is the truth. This is only the truth. You're all going to suffer because you're not following my truth." The other extreme of transformation. From one side, there is no God, to the other side. But this happens. Most of the people live first. It is all right. It's all right. Has anybody heard of this agnostic? What is agnostic? A person who is an agnostic? Anybody? Yes? Atheist says, I don't believe in God's existence. But agnostic is slightly different, isn't it?
Someone who is indifferent.
Was indifferent or is not fully sure of the existence or non-existence of God, isn't it?
Hmm.
So there
Correct.
at least you're keeping the question open. Your hypothesis is not concluded. Your hypothesis is under investigation. Let the research results come afterwards when it has to, when you complete your journey. But that's better. But here, unfortunately, they have decided, they've taken a call, they've taken a stance, and they say desire is the foundation. Like it is said, Rinam Krutva Ghrutam Pibet. You have a life, so borrow all money from everybody, incur debts, and drink ghee. The question is, okay, so I say I live this kind of life. I borrow from 100 of my friends. I live a very happy life, borrowing a lot of money. I enjoy a party, morning, day, middle of the day, afternoon, night, everywhere I want to go. I go traveling. I keep borrowing. So I'm enjoying, isn't it? According to somebody, that gives happiness, or according to them, that is the only way, following my desires. But Gita has told us, isn't it? Desires have limitation. What is my desire today will not be my desire tomorrow. 10 years later, what was most desirable for me may actually turn out to be most undesirable. Simplest example is sweets. Somebody loves sweets so much that every time I have to have this much sweet in every meal. And suddenly that person gets diabetes. Then immediately, what is this? God is so unfair. What is the meaning of life? There is no purpose anymore. I can't eat sugar. But it's not the case. But desire is so important for that person, so it has become. But unfortunately, that desire has turned out to be a poison for the same person later on. What was the source of what that person perceived to be greatest happiness in the world has suddenly turned out to become a poison. This is the danger of desires. That's why Gita says, leave the desires. But this approach of Asuri Swabha says borrow. Say, for example, just for the hypothesis, I have borrowed for 100 from 100 friends, lived happy life, and then suddenly, due to an accident or for some reason, my life ends. Say, my perspective of life has been, cool according to my opinion, isn't it? But does the debt vanish from the world? No. This money I have borrowed, they are going to suffer. Who are going to suffer? The ones who cared for me, who lent their money to me, because I have not done that. Same way, parents decide, let's incur all the debts and live our happy lives. What is the child going to do? Child will have to bear it, isn't it? Sometimes parents' debts are borne by children. This is a cycle which happens. Like you inherit wealth, sometimes you inherit debts also. So this is something which we must become conscious of. We cannot simply and naively declare that desire is the only foundation. I follow desires. I live my desires. Again, say desires of a youngster are completely different, isn't it, from the desires of somebody in his 50s or in the 70s, 80s. Every age desire is different. When I was very young, I wanted to open a restaurant because I can eat free food. Now it looks very silly. I'll not get free food. I will have to invest in making the restaurant first. And I thought if I open a restaurant, I'll not have to pay for the bills. That was the childish desire. So this is something we must understand. Desire is not the foundation. The foundation is higher. There is a higher truth. There is a higher gnosis. But unfortunately, the one who is driven by ahankar, the qualities of asuri nature, ahankar, krodha, all of this person cannot understand. So what happens then? Yes,
I
Aditi?
yeah, I
Yeah.
have a question that in Dwapar Yuga,
Hmm.
God was so accessible.
Oh no,
People
we have a
in
Kalyug
general,
quota now. They are
huh?
equally accessible. There's a Kalyug quota happening in
So
Kali. They're
even
easier.
even general public had doubts of existence even then, like because it.
Okay.
So
So,
that's my question. That because it is so Gita was spoken in Dwapar Yuga. So
yeah. So
when
that
he
time gods were easier, more accessible.
whether still there was doubt of their existence.
Of course, of course. People doubting the existence of God is always there. And again, accessible in the sense God is equally accessible now.
No,
We
but
only are not fully
with
conscious. That time,
tapasya and all.
Bhagwan hai kya? How many people in Arjuna's side would have thought, ye kaun sa din hai? Ye that time they would have called it Kaliyug. See, students have to fight against teachers, brothers are fighting against each other. This new generation of youngsters, I don't like. Same dialogue what today's elders say. That time also they would have said the same thing. Again, what was Duryodhana? Was Duryodhana behaving in a very nice manner?
But he would still believe that God existed, that Shivji and
Yeah, so today also we have people who believe in God's existence and still remain Asuri, no? Invoking God's name. Of course, these are ages, we can say cycles and evolutions. Right now, if you see, according to our Sanatana Dharma, we are going through what is a phase of Kali Yuga, where people's words will not match so easily with their actions, with their deeds. But the truth remains, isn't it? Means what truth Arjuna was having at that time about dealing, because Arjuna also could not understand the ploy of Duryodhana. So many years they have lived together, isn't it? Still, he's trying to have belief in Duryodhana that now Duryodhana will do the right thing. Now Duryodhana will be truthful. Look, I said, like in today's world, we will laugh and say, why did he go for the exile in the first place? Call a proctor and say this deal was only wrong. This duty is not accepted. Instead, what happened? They went through a different type. So something similar happens. Right now, also, we are having the same kind of Mahabharata is happening. Personally, I can tell you, so many like families from after the Gita classes, someone have contacted me. So many brothers are fighting with brothers, brothers are fighting with sisters, sending legal opinion, legal notices to each other over same thing is happening, what was happening in Mahabharata. Only now it's a little probably expanded and become more nuclear. It's a part of evolution right now. But in Kali Yuga also, people have got experiences of the divine. People have got these experiences. So we can say maybe we can earlier they used to do sadhana for several years, isn't it? Tapa. Tapa was long. In Kali Yuga, maybe things are a little faster. Shorter time you can get greater connection of the divine. Because earlier people, like how we say, I have experience. That time probably yogis would meet and share with each other, how many tapas you've done. Arey, I've done 2 tapas, I've done 12 years. For us, we do 12 months sadhana, we already make 55 posts about the sadhana that we have done within 12 months. Something like that. Today's day and age, yes, there is a difference. But again, this is also a part of a design, isn't it? So we are not so far away from the divine as we think we are. But challenges of this era are there. They are different. They are different, but again, the same aspect remains. Duryodhana, even if he believed in God where? Only when his strength was lacking, isn't it? Otherwise, he had greater strength in his own arrogance. So much that his great divine teachers, he was commanding. He was commanding in the battlefield because it's arrogance. Darpa, Dambho, Darpo, Bhimanascha, entire, it's like a description of Asuri Swabhava. In practical, we can see in Duryodhana. So, Aditi, I hope the question was answered. Yes? All right, let us continue then. So, here, what happens when you have this falsehood? Unfortunately, the world appears, what glasses you wear, you see through that, isn't it? If your glasses are tinted, everything will appear with that color and that tint only. Same is the case of Abhiman, or not Abhiman, what we can say, Dambha, the arrogance, the Asuri Swabhava. They have concluded that desire is the foundation. So what will I do? I will run after my desires, even if that exhausts me, even if that eliminates me. Till the last moment, I will run after desire is the stance taken by that person. एतां दृष्टिमवष्टभ्य नष्टात्मानो अल्पबुद्धयः प्रभवन्त्य उग्रकर्माणः क्षयाय जगतो हितः. And by this falsehood alone, all life they perceive. with their minds polluted, their souls they deceive, becoming playthings of demonic forces of damnation. With violence and injury, they perpetuate only destruction. So by this falsehood alone, they perceive all life. Means your glasses have already got tinted. Now you are going to see everything with that approach only. What is your desire? Say what is Swarga for an alcoholic? Unlimited alcohol, isn't it? You say, oh, I have all non-stop supply of alcohol. But if somebody comes and gives the advice, ki, no, don't look at what's happening inside your internal organs. Look at your liver; it's getting destroyed. Don't drink. Throw this person out. I do not want this person here. He does not know. They say, Jako lagi wo jane, duja kya jane. Somebody who has experienced, only he can know. But it's wrong. It's wrong. The desire has taken control of a person. So everything appears that way. The whole world is perceived that way. The minds are polluted, the souls they deceive. A very famous journalist, he had come on TV and now he works, he's dedicated his life for creating awareness of the ill effects of alcohol. But what he did was he ruined his career. He was in a great trajectory, he was rising up. Suddenly he got I mean, it's not even, I mean, people say alcohol is all right, drugs are only bad, but this person had problem with alcohol only. Who knows, each person reacts differently to a stimulant. And this person got so addicted that he began drinking and stopped missing his cues of going for the reporting. And one by one, every day he started taking holidays. And whatever money he had, he spent that money to the point that he started borrowing money from his maid. He didn't have money to give for her, but he tried to borrow from her. And then he was actually on the streets. He had gone to the lowermost state of his life. God knows what Mahadasha was going on for him. But this transformation somewhere came a realization, and he realized that, and then he decided, my life, I will not let nobody else suffer the way I have suffered, because this is wrong. Then we can say Sattva Guna started, and he's helped people come out of addiction. A lot of people draw inspiration from him. But it is something like that. The minds are polluted, the souls they deceive, and then what happens then? A drunkard is a person who is easily like a puppet. Puppet of what? The forces, destructive forces. I didn't mean to say this, but I said it. It doesn't matter what you mean or what your intention was. What you have done is what matters. Arey, I didn't mean to hurt somebody else. No, you did, but you did. So now karma is there. Karma bandhana is there. Karmic consequences are there. You cannot escape from it. And that is why yogis are careful. Even the greatest yogis do not want wrong forces to work through them, because they understand human bodies like that. We are almost, we can say, semi-permeable. Some of these forces just enter into us. If we want a force to work, why not let the divine force work through us? Give me the strength. Give me strength of, let Ma Kali's force guide me. Yes. But can I allow arrogance? Can I allow lust to take control? No, I cannot. That's why yogis become careful. That's why they utter their words with a lot of care. What we can say, consciousness is everything for them. And they will never allow any moment to reduce their consciousness, because they understand the consequences of that. So here, these people, though, they are puppets of destructive forces. What do? They spread violence, they spread injury, and only perpetuate destruction. Like yesterday, I gave an example of a woman. For a plate of biryani, she destroyed buses. I mean, so sad. So sad, yes, for the owners of the properties, but so sad for that woman. Look at it. For a plate of biryani, probably which is not even 200 rupees, she has said, I am available to do any reaction. And it's like the person has allowed that person to be used. That is not, we cannot be used by others, we cannot be used by destructive forces also. If at all we want to become instruments, let the divine use us as an instrument, not somebody else. It feels very bad, isn't it, when we are manipulated, when we are used, even by our friends? Do we like it? Has anybody enjoyed the experience of being manipulated? Because I think in Bhuloka, Srishti, we've always experienced this person does this, that person does that. But not one moment do we feel happy about it, because it's against our very essence. We do not want to be utilized. by somebody for some nefarious design, some ploy. Instead, let us be connected with the divine. Then we will not have. But Asuri Swabhava is not. So they spread violence, they spread injury. Unfortunately, this leads to destruction. Sometimes of the individual, sometimes not just the individual and the surroundings also. Krishna goes on. Kama Kamamashritya Dushpuram Dambhamana Madanvitaha Mohat Grihitva Sadgrahan Pravartante Shuchivrataha. With arrogance and a lust that is never quenched. Their devious minds in egos are drenched. A philosophy of ignorance fuels their desires, and to grab power, their mind incessantly conspires. So if you see, it's like an OCD this person has, obsessive compulsive disorder of grabbing onto things, holding onto power. Continuously, mind is thinking, if I say this dialogue, I will look smarter in that person's eyes, and then I will be able to do this, then this will lead to this. Continuous planning. There is arrogance, so much arrogance, and a lust which is never going to get over. That is also a problem of lust, isn't it? Lust makes you grab, lust makes you acquire more and more, but unfortunately, every time what you lust after, you don't get ananda after you get it also. And suddenly a feeling of emptiness comes in. And what was I? What was it? No, no, I need more. I need more. Cravings and all, it is something like that. There's a need, there's a desire, then there's a craving, and then it becomes lust, and then it becomes a complete destruction of the person who has fallen prey to these lower pulls of nature. And the minds are always, conspiring, devious mind, drenched in egos all the times. A lot of ahankar inside of such people. And their entire philosophy of life is driven by arrogance and to grab power. I want more property. Arey, you have so much. No, I want more. I want to have more than what I have already. All the time. All the time, only that. That is what is driving them. Krishna goes on. He says, Chintama parimeyam cha pralayantam upashritaha kamopabhoga parama etavad iti nishchitaha. Believing astutely in the pseudo bliss of unconsciousness. Enjoyment and desire is their only source of happiness. So what this is the false bliss, isn't it? It is not true ananda. We say ignorance is bliss is a false statement. Ignorance is pseudo bliss. When you are unconscious, maybe until you face consequences, you will remain happy. When the time for consequence comes, then you will have to face it. There the ananda will disappear. And that is something which this person feels, no, it's all right until I let me do as much, let me be as corrupt, koi mujhe kuch karega nahi. Corruption, let it happen. Nobody will be able to stop me. I'm better than others. I know how to escape. It's all right. I'm not a fool. I will escape. I will watch. This is what happens, isn't it? A lot of people rise in the societal circles on following wrong methods, thinking this is the right way. And then when they fall so bad. They fall so bad that they cannot get up again. And sometimes this is worse, isn't it? Yudhishthira was told, Arjuna was also told in the Mahabharata by Krishna that for a person who has earned a good name and who has done so many nice things, falling from grace is worse than death. No, these people will never do that because they have principles, they stand by them. But here, unfortunately, the person who is driven by desires, nothing matters more. Even principles don't matter, relations don't matter, essence of truth. What is essence of truth? Only desire is there. Let me seek it. That's the approach. So they feel they will get enjoyment and desire, and that will be their happiness. It's very much like a dog chasing its tail. Has anybody seen a dog chasing its tail? Yes. Anyone, if you can just describe it, if you have not seen in real life, you could have at least seen it on the screens or somewhere. A dog chasing its tail. What happens then? Who comes first?
You're running around in circles.
Running around in circles, isn't it? And continuously running around in circles only. Until what? Until the energies of the dog get over. It's actually very comical to watch. If you have pets, you can just see how they go running around as if they're going to catch their own tail. Tail is behind. It is always going to remain behind. But all the energies are then utilized for that useless running. This is also what running after desires is. Unfortunately, in the constitution, they have described that, I will not name that country. You may draw your inference. You have the right for pursuit of happiness. That is what the constitution says. Our Sanatan Dharma says, don't pursue happiness. It will come to you. Santushtaha satatam yogi. A yogi is always in that state of happiness or ananda. But if you go running after it, happiness will only go further away from you. It's like a dog running after the tail. That is what chasing desires is. But somebody who is driven only by desires will say, I want this. This material wealth will give me this much. This will give me that. Sometimes people have the dream that today I'm going to enjoy. So I'll go to this particular hotel. I'm going to order this type of food. That will give me happiness. I have worked too hard. Now it's time that I will get happiness from this. And correctly, that day, your favorite cook has been changed. Some other cook comes there. He changes the style of preparation. You get frustrated. What is this? I'll never come again to this hotel. You get angry. Unfortunately, you're only having that problem. Everybody else is enjoying that food. What has happened? You do not know. Well, again, you attached, you felt you will get this happiness when you receive this particular food item. You attached your, frustration will get just dissolved by tasting something, because that is what desires make us feel. That is a lure of desire, isn't it? It is like we get attracted. You will feel. Drugs, what are they? I'll give you ananda. Drugs are talking that only. So the drug addict. They're saying, come, come, take some more of me. You will experience a bliss which is never experienced by anybody. And somebody feels frustrated with the world, says, Chalo, theek hai, let me go. But what happens then? It does not give you that ananda afterwards, what we can call. There are withdrawal symptoms also afterwards. You get trapped into it. And more you have to consume to get the same little bit experience. After a while, you have to consume so much and still you don't get even a fraction of the experience that you are thinking you would get. That is where you are getting destroyed. But a person running after desires, it's difficult. That is why we should probably avoid sometimes all these desires, avoid us, but don't go counseling also to someone who is running after desires unless the person asks you. What will happen? If that person is psychotic, he will attack you only for who's asking you to come in between my desires. Who are you to come in between? Krishna didn't give pravachan of Gita to his own beloved Arjuna until Arjuna said, I want to hear. So where are we? Why should we go? So we have enough duties, we have enough karma bandhanas, we have other aspects which we have to uphold. Be neutral, be dispassionate, speak if it's your duty. But remember, unless the person wants to hear, the best words cannot have an effect. Here is the nature of this person who has decided enjoyment is the only source, enjoyment and desire. Bhoga, I want to experience this. This is the only source of happiness in the world. Unfortunately, such people are incessantly plagued by worries indefinite. Until their ends, they are consumed by thoughts infinite. Infinite thoughts plague the minds of such a person. What if I lose this? I have to protect. I have to protect what I hold. Look at our Duryodhana's case. He had an army which could have, on paper, it could have easily defeated the Pandavan army. Easily. Not just in the numbers and also the skill, there are the veterans, all of it. But you see, the insecurity is there inside of his head all the time. In the very first adhyaya, he says, I don't care if all of you die. Remember, protect Bhishma. Who is Bhishma? He's like a nuclear bomb. No other weapon can work in front of this. And Bhishma himself did not need any protection. But look at what Duryodhana did out of insecurity. He made the other people lose their strength and focus on only protecting Bhishma. Instead, he could have said, all of you go attack. Go, each of you follow your Svabhava, Swadharma. They could have ended the war also before. Fortunately, he's not Krishna, and that everybody had to now or follow the orders of the Ahankar, and that reduced their capacities. All of them, all of them. They were not having clear heart. So they had what we can say material strength, but the spiritual strength was so lacking that ultimately, despite being certain of victory, They lost everything terribly because this is what happens in Ahankar. The indefinite worries are there. And until their ends, they are consumed by infinite thoughts. Thoughts of insecurity, disturbance, they come in such a person who is driven by desires. Even people surround themselves, they create an echo chamber of more similar people around them who will keep telling you are good, you are good, you are better. What a beautiful strategy, sir. This is going to, or madam, this will 100% succeed. To succeed, you will become the best businessman. We will see your photo in the cover. This is all being told. Nobody is there who is speaking the truth. And here, this person, since he's driven by desire, he is not able to see whether the other person is sincere or not. He's only seeing his desire, and somebody who is fulfilling it is sufficient. Such people cannot spend a moment alone without doing something or running after something. Quietude disturbs a person so much. I think we can sit quietly in our homes, isn't it? Sometimes, chalo theek hai. No friends are not there today. I can sit quietly. I can go to sleep. But this person cannot go to sleep peacefully. Always worries. What will happen? What if that competitor takes more than me? I need to become better. I need to get more wealth. I need to show in the media also. Arey, only these many media outlets covered me. I think I need to ensure more people, I get greater coverage. So this is what Krishna is saying. These are 100 bonds. Asha, Pasha, Shatair, Baddhaha, Kama, Krodha, Rayanaha, Ihante, Kama, Bhogartham, Anyanena, Artha, Sanchayam. Krishna says, by 100 bonds of desire, they are bound. For inside of them, a reign of anger and lust is found. They only yearn for material wealth to accumulate. A mountain of possessions they seek to accumulate. These are the 100 bonds. Imagine a bird trying to fly free into the sky, but so many strings are catching that bird. It's disturbance, isn't it? It is even disturbing to visualize. That is the nature of that soul. That Rajahamsa who is supposed to be flying freely towards Manasarovar, he's being bound by what? Chains of desire. And not one, not two, 100. 100. It's like so many bonds trapping a person. They only yearn for wealth. I need to. Means if I have a couple of shoes or sneakers, I'll say, no, not enough. I need to have another 20 more. If I have one vehicle, no, not enough. I need to have another five more. I have one property, not enough. I need to have one property in prime location in almost five, six different places. Ultimately, how many places can we rest at a time? One only, isn't it? Huh? At one place. I have 100 homes still. I have 500 beds. Fine. But I can sleep only on one. And if I cannot get a peaceful sleep, it does not matter, no, how many people, how many beds I have. I'm not able to sleep. Some people without bed also they can sleep so peacefully. And here this person has everything and is not able to. This is the problem of desire. Wealth is there and yet a person is not able to enjoy it. And somewhere there is no wealth. Means there's a big, what we can say, big feast at home. So many people. There's a big table and so many people are there. So many cuisines are kept on the table. And yet there's no ananda in all the people involved. Just a few streets down the line is the home of a very poor person. There's no table only. They don't afford to have a table. And they have only two dishes. All the people in the home are celebrating with Ananda, that joy of eating together. So there is something which is more than material, which we don't realize. But this is not something which a person who is running after desire feels or recognizes. I need to get more. That is all that person feels. Idamadya maya labdham imam prapsase manoratham idamasti idamapi me bhavishyati punardhanam. They think today so much I have gained, but tomorrow so much more I has to be obtained. So much wealth I possess with me now, but tomorrow I need to amass more somehow. Krishna says this. He says, so much wealth I have today. Tomorrow it must grow. It must grow so much. I have this much today. It's somehow it has to become so much more. By hook or crook, I have to make it grow. One small question is having wealth an issue? Is aspiring for wealth also an issue? Is it wrong? Is being wealthy wrong in the light of the Gita? And is aspiring for wealth also wrong? Anybody?
You should not let the desire of trying to be wealthy consume you.
Beautifully said. So wealth is not necessarily wrong, isn't it, Aditi?
Oh, no.
Good
Yes.
people need to be wealthy, isn't it?
Certain things you need to be, even like the pyramid or to
Yeah.
say basic
Means
necessities.
we've heard of that monk selling his Ferrari. Have you heard of that? A book? Yes.
Good, yes.
But monk in the Ferrari is also possible, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Krishna has given us example of Janaka Raja. He had so many munis to give us example, but he says, remember Janaka.
Yeah, he was called Videh, that is.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And what was his wealth used for? Absolutely Lokasangra only, isn't it? And lot of times people have always looked at because they were afraid of the desire of wealth consuming a person. They said better avoid wealth only because the wealth's desire will take control. So a lot of people walked away from wealth. A lot of good people walked away from wealth. What happened because of that? Asuri people easily found wealth to acquire. Wealth is what? The force of Ma Lakshmi in this Bhuloka. So the good people must aspire for what? Not for selfish means, but for betterment of the world. So here, this aspect is fine. But when that desire for consuming, this is also very interesting. I'm not desiring for myself. I'm desiring for others. But that also becomes a desire afterwards if it consumes you, isn't it? So this is a very thin line. It is like best is looking at the Rudram's Chamakam, which comes afterwards, after the Rudra. We call upon everything. Means yeah, I want food grains also. I want horses also. I want wealth also. So much. Mayashchame, Priyamchame. I want good people around me also. The prayer is like that. Shanchame, Mayashchame, Priyanchame, Anukamashchame, Kamashchame, Somarashachame, Bhadramchame, Shreyashchame, Yashashchame. Means what is Shreya, what is good? I have what is needed. Let that come to me. Bhadra, what is auspicious, let that come to me. That is a prayer. But it is not a prayer of desire where a person is greedily asking for more. He's asking for strength. Give me the strength to serve you, my Lord. Give me the strength to function as your representative. Give me the strength to become your instrument of transformation. Because otherwise we will not be able to. This is very thin line, but wealth is not itself bad. But when, as Aditi ji perfectly said, when the desire for wealth consumes you, then it is a problem. That is why yogis were already wary. Somebody who is a sannyasi may not worry about wealth. But somebody who is grihastha, can he say, I don't worry about wealth? No, he'll have to look at it. So this is something, this must be understood. But again, desire to consume, that takes complete control of a person. So here, this person feels with desires consumed. I have this much, tomorrow I have to get more. I have to somehow, by hook or crook, I have to accumulate more. This much property is not enough. I need to understand. I have to mark my property everywhere. I have to mark my influence. Let people know it is I am more powerful. This feeling comes into a person. Unfortunately, that consumes a person completely. But if you ask a yogi, he will say, Vishwaji Maze Ghara. This world is my home. Wherever I go, wherever I go, the divine is my companion and this world is my home. Or there's a beautiful poem by Khalil Gibran. It says, Under the wide and starry sky, dig the grave and let me lie. And is Truptatma, not worried at all. Free in the heart. But that freedom is not there for someone. And the person who is yearning all of it sometimes gets successful in getting a lot of material possession. But spiritually, that person is so small, so immature. The person has not grown. And all that person ultimately wants is one caressing touch on the head, a hug, a heart connection with someone, and that person cannot get it because the person has ceased to walk on that path. He's moved completely away. So what happens then? The focus is only on wealth. So then what happens when you start making friends based on wealth? You start making enemies also based on wealth. That cycle again starts, and then you start plotting on how to bring the downfall of your enemies. असौ मया हतः शत्रुर्हनिष्ये चापरानपि ईश्वरोऽहम् अहं भोगी सिद्धोऽहं बलवान सुखी. One enemy of mine I have exterminated. Soon I will have all of them annihilated. For I am the most supreme amongst men, powerful, enjoyer of desires, invincible and successful. Yes, I have eliminated one enemy right now. Soon I will have all of them eliminated, annihilated. Why? Because Ishwaroham, Aham Bhogi. I know how to enjoy wealth. Even God does not know how to enjoy wealth the way I do. That is the ahankar inside of a person. I am so powerful. I am so strong. And there's a, what we can say, they call it ego trip, isn't it? When ego comes into a person, then nothing can go wrong. What I say is the truth. What I say is only going to happen. See, I have the skill, I have the power, I have the strength over everybody. That bhava enters that person. I am the enjoyer of desires. I am invincible and I am so successful. Mirror, mirror on the wall, there is nobody better than me. I am the best of all. And that feeling comes in. This is a problem. My question is, can we eliminate enemies? Say, can I start annihilating my enemies? Chalo, I have a bingo book. I have written all their names. One by one, I'm going to put tick marks. Is it going to happen like that? If yes or no, practically, is it possible? One is we don't want to go in jail. So that approach is itself wrong in the first place. Second, when you start eliminating another enemy, that enemy has a friend, isn't it? The enemy may have many friends also. What happens then? You get you get more enemies, isn't it? You go running after trying to finish off enemies, instead you create more enemies in the process. This does not work at all. I can just think of one person in a village here where our factory is. There, this person grew up from like very humble backgrounds, but he was no way humble, only driven by this lust for power and wealth. He started associating with some political elements, then started his own particular, like what we can say, he started a gang of his own. Then he would harass all the companies because that was a golden age, at least in Pondicherry. I do not know. We can call it golden, but maybe even silver or even copper age for industries, we can say. But that time the industries were flourishing quite well. So what did he do is he started forming unions and he would take bribes from particular industries to go and create strikes and other problems in other industries. And that was how he grew. Slowly he started acquiring properties, vast tracts of properties across. It was all too fast and it was all suspicious. Nobody can say it was right. And it went on and until very recently, even agricultural land nearby, he tried to make it plot and make it into a plot and sell it to the poorest of poor people into small plots, which will never get approved. What is this? This is greed only, isn't it? But a greed has taken control of such a person. Ultimately, one of his enemies, only because of his what we can say, some affairs, he got caught, and in his own property, people caught him and put a like threw a bomb on him and ended him. That was a very shocking end. We were all surprised. What is this? Is it happening nearby? What kind of nature is this? But this is Asuri Swabhava only, isn't it? Like earlier, there was one particular gangster. His name was Vikas Dubey. If anybody remembers, it was a few years ago. He was everywhere in the news because he shot a lot of cops. A lot of cops were shot when they came to raid or for some kind of investigation they had gone. He look at the audacity. He had the audacity to do that, and then he had even planned a legal remedy of how he is going to surrender into a particular court and somewhere else. And his audio also was all arrogant about how he's clever, he's planning everything. And later on, a last audio clip was released where you can see his pining. He's saying, help me, help me. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I'll be destroyed. Somebody will finish me off. I want to escape. The same person whom people were afraid of. He was like a real big don. Suddenly, he has now fallen. And in the ancient times, in the earlier days when Asuras would fall, people would celebrate, isn't it? Like that, the people in this village, their people were celebrating and distributing sweets on his departure. Why did people do that? Why did they experience that? Well, they were feeling relief. Because this person, though he had so much wealth, so many properties across the world also, he still wanted to grab, so he would even take a portion of share of the ration, which would come freely to the people. And nobody could dare to come in between. This is the desire which has gone to the worst stage. But the person doesn't realize it until the moment comes. They are on the wrong path. Look at Ravana. So great a king, so powerful, we can say. But what happened ultimately? And when did he realize it? Just before his Prayana Kala only, isn't it? Until then, that realization did not come. This is the problem of Asuri Swabhava. They go on further. They say, we will look at three more shlokas and then probably stop. Adho bijanavan asmi, konyosmi, sadrusho maya, yakshe dasyami modishya, ityajnanam vimohitaha. I am wealthy, and from a family of the rich I hail. In comparison to me, everyone looks poor and pale. I perform sacrifice. I do so much charity. I am the real enjoyer. This is their narrow mentality. Means I only know what is the meaning of bhoga. I can enjoy. Look at my family. Look at this gharana that I come from. Look at the wealth I have inherited. And see everybody else in comparison to me, they look inferior. They look pale. Again, this is a wrong thought. Anytime we get, at least we will not have this extreme thoughts. But remember, Asuri Swabhava always starts from somewhere, isn't it? It's like a big fire also is lit by a spark, isn't it? So that spark is that ahankar. So a yogi or a sadhak or an awakened person will understand, I don't want any of this. I don't want to set my own house on fire. So let me take away all of this. So inflammable aspect is ego. Let's throw that away. If at all we get a moment, I am better than somebody else. Remember, rap yourself on the knuckles and say, don't say that. You are not better than anybody, just as you are not worse than anybody. This neither inferiority complex is required nor the opposite superiority complex. Both. Remember, you are you. There will not be another you in this Janma, not in this logo, not in this yoga, not in the next yoga also. You are that unique. But that does not mean you are going to compare and evaluate with somebody else. But here, the eyes which are seeing only outside cannot see the truth. They're trapped. I am better than everybody. I am the real enjoyer. Look at this. How I can enjoy life better. How everybody is pale. This is the problem. अनेक चित्त विभ्रांता मोह जाल समावृताः प्रसक्ता काम भोगेषु पतन्ति नरकेषु च. Their minds, which are in many ways deluded, in cravings trapped, they are ever confounded, ever restless by their endless desire. They ultimately end in lust, hellish fire. Patanti narakeshu cha. They fall into the fires of hell. They suffer. Now, what is this Naraka which Krishna is talking about? Not another Naraka Loka. The Jivan only becomes Naraka for that person. The life becomes Naraka because of this. Because their minds are deluded, in delusion. They don't see the truth. And then they get confused by truth. Somebody in delusion will get confused by the truth. And that is the biggest problem for such a person. In the craving, in the trap of craving, I want this, I want this, I want this. Continuously, that OCD of craving is there inside of that person. Ever restless by their endless desire, they ultimately end in this fire of hell, meaning their life becomes Naraka. There's a difference between the invocation of Naraka of Arjuna in the first Adhyay and the reference of Naraka in by Krishna here in this Adhyay. In the first Adhyay, Arjuna was talking about another Loka of Naraka. But here, when Krishna talks about it, and that was out of fear. Sometimes people, in our Sanatana Dharma, fear is not a factor which is being used for somebody to progress on sadhana. Be afraid of hell, then you do this. Be afraid of suffering which will come afterwards. That is not the approach of Sanatan Dharma. It asks you to look at the consequences, look at the truth, and truth should allow you to automatically walk on the natural path, not out of fear of not going or getting consequences. So here, Krishna is saying the hell that we talk about, well, that becomes life only. Life only becomes hell. This is a life is hell is a dialogue so many people use, isn't it? What is it? Well, go back to the roots. Why is it hell? What am I running after? Is it necessary? Do I have to spend all my energies, whatever I have with me now, running after this? And I don't think anybody deserves to make their life miserable or like a hell. And that is something we must realize. We'll stop at the 17th shloka. Atma sambhavitaha stabdha dhanavana madanvitaha yajante nama yagneste dambhe naviti purvakam. Even sacrifice they perform with narcissism, obsessed with wealth in a state of egotism. All their offerings are just namesake, as they are vanity. They never forsake everything. The sacrifice also which a person does, it is done to show, yeah, see, I have all of this, so I am sacrificing. You see, I am so great that I am doing this. Real sacrifices are done in such a way that it's so silent and secret. The right hand will do a sacrifice, left hand will not know. That is how it is. There's a saying also. Let the left hand not know what the right hand has done. That is how good should be. When you do good deeds, don't try to cash in on it. You actually lose the punya doing that. But people don't realize it. And the person does all of this just for something, just to show, just for some reason, to show the strength, and show the ankar. And that is where all of the truth is lost in such a person. So today we saw that the Asuri Swabhava brings Naraka into the lives of people. My question is, does anybody deserve to be in Naraka? Or let us go even, yes, Kartik ji, yes, sir.
No,
No.
I think it's just a doing of it's a result of our doing.
It's a result, and we definitely don't deserve, as on an individual level, why should we make our life hell, isn't it? But it happens, and it is sad when it happens. So for that, we must at least become conscious of what we are doing. Because when we run after these things, then it's a problem. But it's very interesting to get that middle path, no? Where you are going to aspire without having desires. And the simplest way is to surrender to the divine. Recognize the owner. Who is the real owner? Owner is the divine. As the Isha Upanishad also opens. Beautiful. The first verse of the Isha Upanishad is so powerful. Actually, the Upanishad got a name also because of the first verse. It's called Isha Vasya Upanishad because of the first shloka only. Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bhunjita Ma Grudha Kasya Swed Dhanam. Means how do we deal it? Isha Vasyamidam Saram. All that is but His. His in the sense the divines. Living, non-living, everything in this world. Knowing its owner. What will you do when you are given something which does not belong to you? You handle it with care, a little extra care. So I have got wealth. Recognize that this is not mine. This is the divine's. So be conscious of it. Don't get carried away. Knowing its owner, joyously forsake. Only what is given you take. Joyously forsaking is taking a bhog, ananda, in whatever is there. With ananda, you can also let go as well. Why should you hold on? In relationships, also, if you hold on to a relationship and it is functioning only because you are holding on to, is that a good relationship? Is that a successful relationship? It's not, isn't it? It's just your force. You are using your emotional force to hold on and in the end getting exhausted. And ultimately, that force is also not working. So we'll have to well, it's all right. It's okay. It's all right. Letting go sometimes is important. And whatever is given, you take that. Ananda. With Ananda, what comes to you? It's like naturally it has come to you. If we can approach like this, well, we have a great lineage of great, Srimanta yogis, rich sages in our Sanatan Dharma. Means we saw about Raja Janaka. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was called a Srimanta yogi. Means when he became, when the coronation was going to happen, everything was done. He was now going to be what was the first idea of what we call Swarajya, one of the first ideas, how the people can come together, a Rajya of the people, for the people. He went to his guru, Samartha Ramdas Swami, and he said, I am offering it at your feet. And you know what the guru said? Yes, I will take it. The kingdom is mine. Now go and work as my regent, serve as my deputy. What was Ramdas Swami holding? He had nothing. He materially nothing, but otherwise Rama was with him only. Sri Rama, the Raja of the entire Bhuloka. Well, it was that materially he didn't take anything, but the very aspect, this was symbolic, because he said, now you are not going to be the owner, so the ahankar of the owner will not come into you. The real owner is the divine, and that is why we have to Twadiyam Vastu Govindam Tubhyam Eva Samarpayit. Tera Tujhko Arpan Kya Lage Mera, because we want the work to be good. I have a lot of deficiencies. I don't want to add my deficiencies and jinx what is beautiful, what is nice. That is the approach. And probably we can all avoid Naraka in our lives and it can become Ananda when we let go of it, of this possession and craving, because that is a Asuri Swabhava. With this, we can conclude. If somebody can just draw a summary, then we can conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Anybody? Yes, please. Anyone? Anything about what we saw? So we can have a Shanti Mantra.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
yes, yes.
discussed about the demonic qualities that a person can have,
Yes, ma'am.
and they don't believe in God, uh, and their minds are polluted. They have arrogance, they have lust, they are always consumed by their egos, and the only like they don't connect with the truth, and they enjoyment and desire is their only truth, and that goes on throughout their life, and they never get the realization. So they are also bound by desire, and everything becomes calculated for them, that how much they've gained, what more do they want the next day, and how much they want to grow financially or materialistically. And with enemies also, they get possessed by the hatred towards them, and how much that what they have, which enemy they have destroyed today and what they have to do. So they are not focused on their own growth, uh, but keep finishing the other person. And they also attach a lot of status to how much wealthy they are and from the background they come to. So even if they are doing something for the other person, they attach a lot of self-esteem with that even. So yeah, so they're and yes, so cravings and sacrifices also comes with narcissism, that I'm this great, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Does not come from a place of selflessness and grateful that they are being able to do something.
Yes, yes. Absolutely, Aditi. Thank you for a wonderful summary. So this ultimately, this is what it is. We have to connect with a higher consciousness. Otherwise, Asuri natures will spoil our lives. And such people unfortunately experience Naraka. Their life becomes miserable, life becomes hell. But many times, without our knowledge, we don't realize we're only experiencing all these troubles because of our own approach. We change the approach, we can become free. And I don't think any of us deserves to have a miserable life. And that's probably what Gita is trying to indicate to us. Is like get into the right track, get into the right track, experience a consciousness which is higher, experience the joy and ananda of living. So let us conclude now with the Shanti mantra, after which if any queries are there, you are most welcome. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् हरि ओम तत्सत् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं जय श्री कृष्ण हरि ओम हरि ओम नमस्ते
हरि ओम जी हरि ओम
हरि ओम सर नमस्ते
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji, Hari Om. Yes ji. No queries are there? We'll stop. Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om.